Well, I've been into cars from since I was born, really, from a young age. Family have always been into cars. Parents had minis, rally minis, Jags, all sorts of things like that. And growing up, I suppose it was a huge part of my life. Once I could afford something that I could run on a track, I did. I had an old 944 and an S2, and I used to do a lot of track days and so on. Wanted to get into racing. Track days just wasn't doing it for me. So went to learn about Porsche racing, and then but then someone told me about a local garage to me in South Wales called SMG, who've been racing minis for 30 years. I've always loved the style and the class of the historic cars and the historic racing, and just the fact, just these old cars are just amazing. And I just think they look cool, and also I like the idea that they're obviously quicker than a Mini 7, a bigger engine. Anyone that will know me knows that I like to go fast, and these certainly do go fast. And so we found a car locally. We found a 1960s Mini Cooper. It was in a field, in a farm, and we went down with a team and we actually literally pulled it out, and we set about doing a lot of work on it. We learnt loads. It was the first historic car myself and SMG had built, and we went to town on it. We had a lot of parts for the engine from Swifty and a lot of help from him, and then we put together this amazing, beautiful little car, again, which was just like you could eat your dinner off it on the inside and out. And it's period correct. We've got the right interior in it, you know, all the right stuff that should be in there, and we've kept a lot of that in it. And here she is, looking a bit more used now. I think the last time I went out in it, I touched a few tyres at Castle Combe. But yeah, this car is a flying machine, and it's absolutely brilliant. And it's really, it was my ticket into a lot of these other races. And if it wasn't for this car, then hey, we would never be talking about this now, and we wouldn't have gone to Goodwood. So Goodwood announced, it was the Mini 60th birthday, and they announced that they're going to have a car, 30 cars they're going to have race in the Betty Richmond race. You know, I'm starting to do my digging now. I'm ringing people, I'm seeing if I can worm my way in there. I've only been racing a couple of years, but I'm not the type of person to give up very easily, and I try to make the impossible possible. I was trying to make connections here and do this and do that, because Goodwood is a club, isn't it? It's a very prestigious club, and not just anyone gets to race there, I suppose. So it's yeah, it's a big deal to me. I'm a huge fan of the club, and I'm a huge fan of all the racing that goes on there and everything about it. Anyway, they said they were going to have 30 cars. I remember Endaf, Jonathan Lewis, all these different people getting their invites in the post and all the rest of it, and they're all handwritten and or signed and all beautiful. And I think, what did I do? I probably sat underneath my letterbox for a couple of days, you know, but, you know, is it coming? It didn't come. So on goes a couple of months. I think that was before Christmas, and then they announced they're going to do 60 cars. And oh my God, I'm getting excited now. And I remember I got this email saying, would I still be interested in going? I was like, yeah, you bet your life I would be. And so that's why we thought we'd do this. A lot has happened over the last 12 months with me, and things have happened in work and business, and we're starting this now, LOWE Classics. So starting to follow our dream of this motorsport and classic cars and so on. This is the first time I've had a chance to reflect and have a look back on it. Now, the 78 members meeting is coming up soon. We thought it'd be a good time to actually get out some of the amazing footage that we have from the 77 members meeting, and have a look back at the race and just have a look at it from a novice's point of view or a clubman's point of view. And so here is our look back on what was one of the most fantastic racing weekends I've ever had. So qualifying. It started okay, yeah, we went out, my heart was in my throat, and all of a sudden things were serious, and we went out for hours. We were in the second heat, and we went out, and I qualified 15th, I think, off the top of my head. So, you know, first time to Goodwood, I was happy with that in the company. And yeah, it was an interesting qualifying, but a couple of times during qualifying, something was happening with the gears. It wasn't going into third gear, but anyway, we came in, and we then wait for race number 1. So we all line up and we go out there, and the place is absolutely buzzing at this point. You've got you know, all sorts of people all around, and people are getting very excited. The crowds are absolutely loving the minis. I'm pretty sure that at the 77 members meeting, it was the highlight of the weekend by far. I had to finish 15th to make it into the final. And we're out there, and there's cars, and there's mega drivers, and some of them are dropping off, and there's accidents, there's crashes, there's spills, there's all sorts going on. And as I'm coming round, all the teams were on the pit wall in an old-fashioned style, which you only really get at Goodwood. They're all hanging over, the pit wall's really low, and God, as a driver looking at all that is really exciting. I kept on coming round, and as I would come out of the chicane, I'm trying to go into gear and go up from second into third, and it would just go ring, 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 and it wouldn't go. You see that on the film, and oh my God, I was losing my rag, effing and jeffing, and I was, every time I do that, you'd lose a couple of positions or something would happen. You'd go round again, I'd catch up, I'd overtake a few more people, and that would happen. I'd come round and it was showing P19 on the massive television screen, and I'm like, it's coming towards the end of the race. I really cannot be P19. I need to get into this final. You know, we haven't come all this way not to get into the final. I start to overtake a couple of people, and you know, I start to work out the gears a bit better, and they start going in a little bit. And I overtake one, I overtake two, I'm going round. And every time I go around, my team is still hanging out the P19 on my race board. And I'm thinking, God, this is just not really going very well at all. And I think I'm getting angry in the car, saying, I can't be 19. Anyway, last lap, it says P19 again, so I'm going for it, overtake a couple more people, and come across the finish line, and they put 15. And everyone went ballistic. You know, all my mates, the fellow Welsh teams from Owens, Team Owens and all the rest of it, they were all bouncing off the wall, and you felt like you'd won then. You know, I'm bouncing around in my car like, yes, I've made the final, and you just feel you feel $1 million. And that is one of my racing highlights, I suppose. You might think, oh God, it was only 15th, but to make it into that final and the calibre of drivers that were there, it was epic. And that's what clubman racing and novice racing is all about. You know, you know, we're not professionals, we're not earning money out of it. We're doing it for the love.
How'd you get on? Yeah, we had a good fun. Where did you end up?
15th by the skin of my teeth.
Oh, well done, boss. You've got to be scrappy.
I certainly was. So we've just done the race one of the Betty Richmond Trophy, and I made it into the final by the skin of my teeth. Missed gears, grass, bumps, shunts, you name it. It happened out there, and I live to fight another day. So yeah, look forward to tomorrow, 6 o'clock, and let's see if we can pick a few places off and do a bit better. So
then I'm now buzzing and celebrating like I've already won. And unfortunately, my fellow team our friends from Wales, they didn't make it into the final. So yeah, so I had a lot on my shoulders then as the only Welsh guy in the final. That night though, well, we had a few beers. I think we had 30 people in the camper, my old camper, and it was brilliant. We had all the fellow drivers, all your mates as well from the Mini 7 Club and all the rest of it, and we just had an amazing time. Anyway, you get up the next day, we had a bit of a while to get together and get ready, and we went out for this final race, and I was dead last on the grid. My P15 meant that I was, you know, 30th or 29th. And off we go, and we do the race, and we'd sorted the gears out, and had a brilliant race, and just kept on picking people off, and managed to get up 12 places up to P18, and just thoroughly enjoy it and love the whole thing, the whole weekend. I'd do it all again in a heartbeat, and yeah, any other time that I get the opportunity to race at Goodwood, I'll jump at it.